Relationships don't fail because of the wrong person. They fail because two childhood patterns are colliding. We as human beings repeat what is familiar, not what is healthy. Once I understood this, oh my God, my entire life shifted, because I realized just because I'm choosing a person doesn't mean that I'm always making the right decisions. Because majority of the time I'm choosing that person because I am used to that sort of behavior. And then once I did a lot of introspection in my childhood, I realized, oh, this is why I keep on choosing and attracting the wrong people that are hurting me, that are disrespecting me, that are X, Y, and Z, so on and so forth. I can give you a list. In these dynamics, I also played a role. I also was a toxic person, which we'll get into a bit later on. But I really want to talk about this because I recently was watching Oprah and Dr. Phil, and I am obsessed. This is like new obsession. And they recently spoke about this. And by the way, the things they were speaking about 20 years ago, it still matters. And, I learned so much because right now we talk a lot about the anxious attachment style and the avoidant attachment style. That is a big one. I don't know if you guys know yet, but the anxious usually gets attracted to the avoidant. And how they called it, I don't remember actually who was speaking about this, so I might get killed for that. But all I remember, and I made notes on this, was there's a partner in the relationship they call it the corrector. Okay. This person is more on the anxious, not more on they are anxious. They're somebody who is over responsible. They fix everything. They scan for mistakes constantly. And basically, if you go back to their childhood, you see that, they learn this way of being, which is, if I don't control things, I'm not safe in this environment. And so they become hyper vigilant, hyper focused on their partner, scanning for all of these things nonstop. It just doesn't stop. And so, and by the way, this wasn't me, unfortunately. And so I'm that corrector in that relationship. I'm just being brutally honest here. So, by the way, when I'm going through these things, I also want you to reflect on, where do you see yourself in these characteristics? And maybe you have a bit of both. I feel like I do have a bit of both. I can be anxious, but I also have avoidant tendencies where I don't want to face the issue, and I could kind of be a little bit nonchalant. Is that the word I'm looking for? I think so. Secondly, the type of personality they were talking about was the passive aggressive partner. Now, this partner is going to be more in the avoidant attachment, side of things. This person is somebody who tends to shut down. They tend to avoid conflict. They tend to agree, but then they don't actually follow through. They say, yeah, I'm going to do it, but they never actually come to doing anything. And this is what they have learned growing up, is that if I speak up, if I'm being authentic and I say my truth or I ask for something, I get hurt. I'm not safe when I do these things. And so that is what they learn. And so this is one of their coping mechanisms in order to feel safe in the relationship, maybe with their parents or however they were raised. That is what they are learning. That is what they continue to do in their adult relationships. And now this really blew me away because I didn't actually hear it like this. I feel like when you hear it as a corrector and a passive aggressive partner, I don't know, like the dynamic to me, it just makes more sense. And so once I went a little bit deeper into this, I learned that this, system comes from the Bowen family system. So this is where one partner takes too much responsibility. They're so overbearing. And then the other one takes too little. Okay. And so a lot of kids that come from chaotic homes, what they do is they become scanners, as I mentioned at the very beginning, because their brain, it's wired to anticipate danger. This is a very dangerous environment. So I need to control everything to keep everyone in order. So I feel calm and safe in this relationship, in this, whatever it is, marriage. Adults translate that into correcting, fixing, or managing. And another very interesting thing about this is that my mom was the corrector. And guess who I became? I also became a corrector. And passive aggression research is linked to childhood environments where honesty wasn't safe. It wasn't accepted. You were maybe made fun of, or you're belittled when you're being honest or being your authentic self. Conflict triggers the same brain response as danger. So when they are, their partner wants to have a conversation, they're thinking of that as a lion attacking them. And so when we just understand these things, it just, makes so much sense to women and men, where we can look at the relationship in a more empathetic way, and we can understand where each other is coming from, so we can actually solve the problem a bit faster. The reason why they attract each other is because opposites attract, and also because it is a familiar territory. So somebody who is anxious might not want to be with somebody who's also anxious, because when they do that, they don't know how to work it out, because it's so unfamiliar to them that they're not gonna feel safe in the relationship. But when they choose a partner who is avoidant, they are like, oh my God, this is my home. I know how to deal with this person. I know we're gonna have a push and pull relationship. I know exactly what to do when he's in the other room, and I wanna keep on going. They know how to deal with this. A corrector feels safe when they are in control. A lot of the times, this tends to be women. I'm going to get into the research in a bit, so do not kill me yet. But this is just, the way we have been raised. And it makes so much sense when you actually do the research. And passive feels safe when things are calm. Okay? They do not want to fight. They don't want to argue. They don't want to deal with things. And so together, this is a childhood reenactment, because that's what they're used to. And so the corrector keeps on pushing, and the passive is going to keep on withdrawing. And this is their dynamic, which then leads to a loop of frustration, and both of them feel misunderstood. They feel like they're not really on the same wavelength. And that is when the love slowly tends to fade away, because they don't know how to break this loop. They're just stuck in it. And if you're a victim, you have a victim mindset, you're going to make that other person the devil. You're going to make them the bad guy, and you're going to be, doing all the right things in the stories that you tell other people. Oh my God, my husband keeps doing this to me, and this and this and this, and he's not doing this, and and then he's going to go back. If he's a victim, he's going to do the same thing. And at the end of it, you're not going to get anywhere. It's just wasted time, wasted energy. And by the way, this pattern is going to keep on repeating until it is interrupted, until there is some significant awareness, there's some work put into this, or it's just going to keep on happening. Two unconscious people are matching each other's energy. We're not going to get anywhere. There's no pathway. We're just going to be in the dark arguing. And then, if you have children, this is exactly what they're going to watch. And guess what? They're going to do the exact same in their relationships. That is why it's so important before you have kids to do this work on yourself. So if you're somebody you don't have any children, you want to have children, I don't think I have that kind of, maybe I do have that type of our audience, but you let me know. I feel like it's more, men that are a little bit older, but if I'm wrong, please let me know. No, that's not true. I do have younger men. I just realized, I have a big mixture of men, but anyways, moving on. And in the Bible, they say perfect love casts out fear, meaning if it is true love, you're not going to have fear, you're not going to have insecurities. And it's not really love if you're going to control somebody, if you want to put them in a box, if you're belittling them, if you're disrespecting them. That is not love. And that is, again, the lessons that we're here that we need to learn as souls. Now, in any sort of behavioral pattern that you're having within yourself, relationships, the number one thing you need to look at is awareness. And this is the most difficult thing for a lot of us to do, is really just be aware. Like the other day, I was doing something which was not the best behavior of mine. I was getting really agitated. I was getting really frustrated. And I was like, why? And I became aware that, oh my God, I'm going back into my old ways of thinking, which is like, and I know this is a really bad one that I had the other day, and I can't even believe I'm sharing this right now, but I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have these thoughts, and that is why I do this work, because I myself, I'm in this with you guys. And so one of the thoughts I have is like, why does it matter? Why does any of this even matter? And I know why it matters. I know all the answers, but I still have these thoughts that, by the way, I had a lot of these thoughts when I was depressed. And I just felt lost. I didn't know where the hell to go. I didn't know who I was. And so I was in a very dark cloud back then. But even though right now, I mean, there's still things that are happening in my life, but I still have these thoughts. Even when I'm trying to do all the right things and say all the right things, I still have them come up. And so I just want you to understand that awareness is key to all of this. And so when you're in a dynamic with a corrector and a passive, the corrector needs to learn, and this is a very difficult thing to learn, but it is doable. You have to learn to tolerate imperfection. I can't speak. Imperfection. And guess what? That's one of my weaknesses as well, is that I want everything to be perfect. If it's not perfect, I don't want it. And also another one is to step back and to learn to tolerate imperfection. These two things are key as a corrector, okay? And then someone who is passive, you need to learn to speak directly and to tolerate conflict. Again, this is not something you do within a day. This is practice. This is awareness. This is, maybe you need to, speak to a therapist. You need to speak to somebody about it, and that's completely fine. But just knowing that if you don't do anything about it, you're not going to get anywhere. If you're someone who is unconscious and you go through life without any consciousness, that is going to be a disaster. And I'm not even, I don't need science or statistics to tell you this. It is a fact. And I'm living proof of that. I was living a very unconscious life, me, all about me. I didn't really, look at myself that way. I didn't self-reflect, and my life was a freaking disaster. It looked great on Instagram, but in the reality, the way that I felt was empty inside, lonely, lost, all those things. And so I just want you to keep that in mind. Lastly, conscious love requires healing your nervous system and not finding a new partner. A lot of people, they get off one relationship and boom, they're back on a dating app. Oh, dating apps. I'm going to go on like 10 other dates and I'm going to see what's out there. But I don't know what the hell I want. I haven't done any work. I don't know what the hell I did wrong in the last relationship, but I'm going to keep on dating. That is not effective in any way, shape, or form. It's just not. And I just want you to keep that in mind. Healing your nervous system is so, so important. And a lot of men do not know the power of this, but once they understand it, it is just, it just changes your life on a whole new level. Your reality changes. But again, this comes with awareness. This comes with being interested in this. I can sit here and tell you a bunch of stuff, but if it's like, it's going in here and coming out the other, there's no point of me telling you all this information. Hold on, I had a statistic and I specifically put it in my notes. Avoidant attachment is more common in men. That is why a lot of men struggle with emotional availability. All right, so men who have the avoidant attachment is about 35 to 45%. And the avoidant attachment in women is about 20 to 25%. So there's, not that big of a difference, but it is pretty big. And so men are statistically more likely to become passive, withdrawn, emotionally unavailable. Women overfunction in 70 to 75% of couples, and men overfunction in 25 to 30%. That is wild. I just learned this. And also daughters are 2 to 3 times more likely to become the emotional caretaker of the family. Sons are more often neglected or asked to be strong, which often leads to avoidance instead. And so this reinforces the corrector more in women. Wow, this is like, I just love research because it just makes everything make sense. And I'm not just blabbing for the heck of it. If you feel like you're in a relationship, you're dating right now where this pattern keeps on repeating itself, whether, maybe you're dating a corrector, you're a passive aggressor, whatever it is, I just want you to know that it's not that person, but it is your wiring. It is who you're choosing in this moment in time. And so once you understand that pattern, you're not going to repeat it, or at least you're going to work towards that. If you're a man who's struggling with these patterns, you're in the right spot. I help men break their patterns and finally build a love that they've always wanted. If you're interested in finding out more how you can work with me, then you can check the link down below. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe. Let me know down below what else you would like to see. Are you guys enjoying these videos? Tell me if you guys see yourself in the corrector or passive. I would love to know what kind of men are watching my videos. I'll see you guys in my next one.